you know, we are recording now. So, hello everybody. I'm going to be reading, so I want to take a moment to welcome you to our Nursing Assistant Program graduation ceremony for the NA students from Avamere Health Services, sponsored here in Avamere Rehab of Eugene, Oregon. Please know we are recording for upload on YouTube for my personal Nurse Assisting YouTube page. All my ceremonies are recorded and posted for families and friends who may not be able to attend and for students to share with whomever they please. I want to begin by reading a poem. It's pretty famous, though the author is unknown. This poem was found among the possessions of an elderly lady who died in the geriatric ward of a hospital. No information is available concerning her, who she was, or when she died. It was anonymous, and it's called See Me. What do you see, nurses? What do you see? Are you thinking when you look at me? A crabby old woman, not very wise, uncertain of habit with far-away eyes, who dribbles her food and makes no reply when you say in a loud voice, I do wish you'd try, who seems not to notice the things that you do and forever is losing a stocking or a shoe, who, unresisting or not, lets you do as you will, with bathing and feeding the long day to fill. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you see? Then open your eyes, nurse. You're looking at me. I'll tell you who I am as I sit here so still, as I rise at your bidding, as I eat at your will. I'm a small child of 10 with a father and a mother, brothers and sisters who love one another. A young girl of 16 with wings on her feet, dreaming that soon now a lover she'll meet. A bride soon at 20, my heart gives a leap, remembering the vows that I promised to keep. At 25 now, I have young of my own who need me to build a secure, happy home. A woman of 30, my young now grow fast, bound to each other with ties that should last. At 40, my young sons have grown and are gone, but my man's beside me to see I don't mourn. At 50, once more babies play round my knee. Again, we know children, my loved one and me. Dark days are upon me. My husband is dead. I look at the future. I shudder with dread. For my young are all rearing young of their own, and I think of the years and the love that I've known. I'm an old woman now, and nature is cruel. 'Tis her jest to make old age look like a fool. The body is crumbled, grace and vigor depart. There's now a stone where I once had a heart. But inside this old carcass, a young girl still dwells, and now and again my battered heart swells. I remember the joys, I remember the pain. I think of the years all too few, gone too fast, and accept the stark fact that nothing can last. So I open your eyes, nurses, open and see, not a crabby old woman. Look closer, nurses, see me. My name is Misty Gordon. I'm an Oregon State Board of Nursing approved primary instructor and the program director for Avamere's Oregon program. This is Jane Campbell, who is currently an RN here at Avamere and will hopefully soon be picking up the class here in Eugene. Avamere's program is one of the few, very few, free community-based nursing assistant programs here in Oregon, and we're proud to say we're on track to helping produce several hundred newly certified nursing assistants each calendar year. This is the 10th class I've personally worked with for Avamere Health Services, and I must say that every day I'm finding myself more grateful for the chance to do so. The nursing assistant class you're about to recognize has worked hard to get to this point since April 1st. They have reviewed and studied 56 chapters of materials. They've taken 14 daily quizzes. They've taken 3 tests and a final, and they passed with flying colors. They then went to the floor and over time dedicated over 75 hours each of their personal time, sacrificing their families, their personal lives, their jobs and commitments, and their sanity to complete the amount of hours required by the Oregon State Board of Nursing to demonstrate competence and skill at the level of an entry-level nursing assistant. I can personally attest to the difficulty and frustration one experiences going through the classroom and lab experience for a nursing career. These students have practiced and repracticed skills, have endured the funny looks they invariably get when retaking a vital or practicing a skill under the scrutiny of not only me, but the patients, their families, and staff members. This class in particular faced a challenge most students do not have to endure. Midway through their clinical, they had a change in instructors and had a pretty rough transition. But in less than 1 week, they adapted like the champions they are and have rocked every single clinical day to maximum capacity. They have overcome their fears, and sometimes mine, of performance and judgment. They've grown so much since day one in this class, and even more so since the date I met them all about a month ago. I was lucky to have been able to teach these students. It was a joy to be with them, and thanks to them, I looked forward to each day in both the classroom and on the floor. My story as a CNA began in 2001, where I began as a student technician at a large teaching hospital on the East Coast. It was an amazing experience, and this is where I learned to love nursing, to identify with patients as people, not as a room number or a diagnosis. I can attribute my work ethic and values to not only my father, who passed just weeks after I received my registered nursing credentials, to my mother and our shared personality characteristics, but also to my nurse manager at that hospital. She worked with her staff on a more personal level than I had ever experienced before. I attribute my ability to have attended nursing school to her dedication to allowing me to work in my hours whenever needed. Her name is Rhonda Flynn, and she is still hands down one of the best nurse managers I've ever met. A special thank you goes to my sister and brother-in-law. I was newly divorced and raising 3 young boys just over the poverty income level. My financial aid had run out, and I could not afford to attend school for my last 2 semesters. My sister and brother-in-law, my parents pulled together and made certain that I graduated. Last but not least, I met and fell in love with someone who loved me through the ups and downs of work, classes, late night papers, and clinical worksheets, disgusting diagnoses, and all the Facebook memes. I'm sure he was tempted to run, but he hasn't yet. My point is, I absolutely would not be here where I am today with all of you and with this truly spectacular group of nursing assistant students if it were not for all of these people. I tell you these things also because I want you to know that it's never just one person that makes it possible for a person to attend school and achieve the needed educational requirements for career advancement. It literally takes a village. Students, husbands, wives, life partners, children, sisters and brothers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends, and of course the administrative staff and patients of supporting facilities. We all make it happen. So on this day, I want us all to take a moment to offer a round of applause to all persons present and those who may be watching later on, who have in some way influenced and helped these students along their path to this day. So CNAs are often overlooked and undervalued. Here in our program through Avamere Health Services, we want our students to know their worth and their value. We want our students to realize the importance of their contributions and how much their communities will benefit from their work. If there's only one place in the world that understands the kind of work that goes into becoming a CNA, I want them to know it was here under the guidance of their primary instructors. Because of this, we wanted these students to experience a pinning. For any one of you that's graduated, attended, or participated in a nursing graduation ceremony, you can understand the significance of a pinning ceremony. When I came to this program 2 years ago, I made a point to ensure that we recognize the accomplishments of the students. Now, as program director, I want to ensure we continue this tradition in all our locations. Many students work full-time. They care for children, are single parents, caregivers to family members, single-handedly supporting a family, all while attending school and masterfully pulling it off. The recognition for this sort of accomplishment cannot be too big. This pinning is a turning point in the lives of these 9 graduate nursing assistants. It's a commitment in the hearts and minds of those who receive the pin. Even if it's the only time that you wear it, know this pin symbolizes your impending entry into the noblest and most respected profession in the world. I sincerely hope you are all as proud of your accomplishments as we are. We now would like to individually recognize these students, these future Oregon State Board of Nursing certified nursing assistants, these future leaders in care, these human beings that give so much of their time and heart to the patients here and now and in their futures. I'm going to ask that as each student is called that they come up to accept their certificate and awards and that they remain seated here until all the students are together. Now, before we introduce each student, I'm going to read a quote from someone. These people influenced our ways of thinking about nursing, life, philosophy, and love. They've remained in our hearts, including mine, long after their departure from this earth. One can only hope they have the care of individuals such as this nursing assistant class to care for them in their final hours. In nursing school, we were prohibited from posting anything on social media that related to our classes. So one of our peers developed a Facebook page under the pseudonym of Florence Nightingale. She posted notes about tricks and tips, anything she found helpful in school. She's one of my cohort and is a well-respected nurse practicing in South Carolina. She's pretty smart. That is nursing. Sharing is knowledge, educating where you can, and setting an example, shining that light for others to follow. And this person said, how very little can be done under the spirit of fear. Florence Nightingale. Texas, Caitlin Milligan. This man was an American short story writer, an essayist, biographer, a historian, and a diplomat of the early 19th century. These words remind me of the beauty of not only birth, but of death. Caring for the elderly when they can no longer do so for themselves is a passion that holds a special place in the nursing community. And he said, there's a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are messengers of overwhelming grief and unspeakable love. That was Washington Irving. Devin Jones. Poet, a singer, a memoirist, and a civil rights activist, and one of my favorite authors of all time. Her writings have put my thoughts into print, and I often wondered if we would have been friends were we to have ever been neighbors. They may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Samantha Hawkinson. That was Maya Angelou. This woman was an Albanian Indian Roman Catholic nun and a missionary. I probably just gave it away to anyone over 40. She dedicated her life to those in need and set the example for selflessness. It takes a lot of heart to care for so many, and recognition doesn't come in our lifetime, but I don't think this kind of dedication goes unnoticed. And this person said, it's not how much you do, but how much love you put into the doing. Mother Teresa. Maritza Shepherd. On the last day. This man was an American essayist, a lecturer, philosopher, and a poet who lived in the 1800s. His quote rings very true for me. I firmly believe that our past does not dictate our future. And he said, what lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside of you. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Olivia Solomon. This one is almost immediately recognizable upon describing him. He's one of my all-time favorite childhood characters, and I was nicknamed after him as a child. I often have to stop and think about what he says here, because sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. And he said, "You're braver than you believe, and stronger and smarter than you think." Winnie the Pooh. Jaden De Silva. This man was a stand-up comedian and actor. His movie Patch Adams is one of the reasons I'm a nurse today. I've always said he had kind eyes. His smile and laugh were infectious. If you have a moment tonight, say a little prayer for this man who passed away at the age of only 63 due to issues related to mental illness. And he said, "No matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change this world." And that was his character in the movie The Dead Poets Society. Robin Williams. Sierra Walker. Widely regarded as an icon of democracy and social justice, this man received more than 250 honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize. He was imprisoned for 27 years, fighting for what he believes was right for his country. That is dedication in the face of unimaginable fear. And he said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." This was Nelson Mandela. Arissa Quest. That's it. Bye. No más, no más. Before he was injured, this man was asked to run for Congress. I had the biggest crush on him, and I can tell you I'd have followed politics a lot more closely if he'd run. This man spent the last 10 years of his life lobbying on behalf of those suffering from spinal cord injuries after suffering an injury himself. He was the face of every kid's superhero, and he said, "A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles." This was Christopher Reeve. Sway King. We want to take a little bit to congratulate this graduate nursing assistant class of Avamere Rehab. Everybody, give them a round of applause. May you always let your heart guide your thoughts. they're done. Totals.